Starfield ran so poorly on the Steam Deck that I built a gaming PC.
And Apple is catching up 10 years later? This next on episode 5 of Double Dads.
Double Dads. Roll that intro. Woo! Hey, James. Good evening.
Hey, man. How was your week?
It was busy, as you know. We're both kind of preparing for the same wedding, and we just finished going to the wedding of our guest from last week, Ethan.
Yep, Ethan.
Which was really fun. It was a good time.
Beautiful wedding. My favorite wedding for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
One of my all-time favorites as well. Such a good time. Just good people, good times.
Yep.
The rain held off. It was an outdoor wedding.
Got to meet one of Ethan's buddies in Japan, and he was great. Him and his girlfriend were awesome.
Yeah, I liked it.
Super fun.
It was really fun to hang out with him for a while.
Yeah.
Good to meet some of his military buddies.
Yeah, sounds. Yeah, I think they were really happy that we showed them some Minnesota nice, because
there we go.
Ethan told me they're worried about coming to a new place and not knowing anyone, and that's always uncomfortable.
They just assumed we're all gonna be sitting on a couch.
We gave them a good time, and at the end, Aaron was like, "Yeah, someday we'll all live on a end of a cul-de-sac together." I'm like,
that's the dream.
Let's do that.
That's the dream.
So
yeah, awesome.
It was so busy, man. I was best man for Ethan's wedding, and my wife was a bridesmaid because her and Ethan's wife are good buds now. And we did the flowers for the wedding. We had to prep for a speech. I had to get bachelor party together. We went to Vertical Endeavors and then ate at P.F. Chang's, and then had a nice campfire afterwards. And you came to that. We watched World War Z, fun stuff. And then Friday we filmed episode 4 of Double Dads with Ethan. We tried to film it Thursday, but we had difficulties, which I was really bummed out about.
Forgot about that.
Dude, all three of us were pumped and hyped. We'd all had G Fuel at noon, and we just had caffeine coursing through our brains, and we're all and
then we had
hyped and ready to go.
Mic 3 just didn't work that day, and I had to spend an hour troubleshooting it, and you guys had to run, but.
We had to run. You had to get back to work, and
that's right, because it's a work day.
Yeah,
we're trying to do it over my lunch break out of work. Oh, it ended up being fine, because that next morning it was so early. That episode was chaos, because we were.
If you watch that episode, you're all perky and this is great, and me and Ethan are just
dying. So tired,
dude. Just drinking our coffee as fast as possible to get caffeine in us.
I know.
But so Friday we had rehearsal up at the wedding venue, and then we stayed the night up there. And then Saturday it was all about getting ready for the wedding. And you showed up at what time? 3? No.
Yeah, it was 2:30.
2:30?
Just to get set up because I was recording the wedding, getting some video done.
Yeah. So then we had the wedding, and then that was really beautiful, and had a dinner, and then a bunch more people showed up for their reception after the dinner. We had a bunch of dancing.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
It was just a great night. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep, it was fun. We're at the stage in our lives now where all of our friends are getting married. And so it
took a few years for me, because I got married when I was 19.
That's right.
And so
you were the first one out of
I've been married for 5 years, and now all my buddies are getting married now. So
yep.
I don't feel so out of place.
Yeah, we're all catching up to you. But now we're just me and you're just carting our kids to these different weddings and just trying to keep them happy.
Yep.
It's
sharing the load.
Oh yeah, it's a good time. There's another one this weekend, and there's 2 this weekend. We got more coming up.
Oh, my wife is swamped. She had prep flowers for a wedding today. We have a wedding at 7:30 in the morning, which she's a bridesmaid of.
Yep.
And then my wife's cousin is getting married in Duluth.
Yep.
Which is quite a ways away from us, and that's at 3:30. So our weekend is booked. And then next Saturday, I think I'm free for duck opener, which I'm super psyched about.
Nice.
Dude, do you want to come?
Yeah. Are you going up to in-laws?
No.
No?
No way. No. I'm going to go out with my brothers around here.
Oh, okay.
And,
okay. I might be gone at the in-laws.
Ew. Just kidding.
There's more ducks up there, man.
Okay, so last year, 9 guys we opening morning, we shot our limit. 9 guys. It's 6 per person.
Are you
we
serious?
shot our limit
Wow.
within an hour and a half.
Dude, that's insane.
Dude, and it's awesome because there's a couple guys that come
Mm-hmm.
and they can't hit anything. So like, the rest of us get to like shoot extra. So I got like my limit was 6, but since they didn't get theirs, dude, I shot like 9.
Yeah.
Dude, it was awesome.
So party. That's awesome. That sounds like fun.
But then, so we, after this weekend, my wife and I will have had 10 weddings this year, and we still have 2 more.
Oh my goodness. Dude.
I stopped giving them money.
Yeah.
I just can't afford it.
It's getting way
my
too
presence
expensive.
is present enough.
Yeah, that's a good strategy.
So
I know it's been a lot for us. We've got, we got 2 this weekend. We have one in October. We have 2.
Really?
3. There's 3. I had to decline one. And there's another one that's on the same day as a really good friend of my wife's.
Yeah, okay.
So we're going to miss like 2 of them because one's out of state and one is at the same day as a friend. And so we're kind of like, we need to decide like who are we closer to because there's so many weddings on the same Saturday. This is happening twice now. In the span of 2 months, we'll have 2 weddings on 2 different Saturdays. Like,
dude, it's the year of love. I don't know what it is, but
2023.
Something's happening.
That's great.
The moon is closest to the earth right now or something.
Man. It's a solar maximum. It actually is.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh.
Because of the solar cycles. Like that's why it's been like kind of a heat wave this summer.
Everyone's just
the sun is
super horny.
The sun is I guess something like that. The sun is closer to the earth.
I'll be right back.
No worries. Speaking of double dads, we got the kiddos. The kiddos need water. It's good to keep the kids hydrated, as James Ronaldson fills up a water cup for his son. While we wait for James to get back, I'm going to give a little intro on this PC build, which I know James is excited to talk about because we have discussed PC here a couple times. Me and James have had consoles or some weird sort of a console, like a handheld Steam Deck, which is what I've been running. Now you're good.
Duty calls when you're a dad.
It's part of the brand, man.
Yep.
Taking care of the kids.
Yep. As long as their identity is concealed, we're all good.
No pieces.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about this PC build because I think it's kind of interesting because of the way it came together. We talked about building PC because you've had Xbox pretty much your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And
so I'm like an Xbox fanboy and I
through and through.
Don't really care for PlayStation. I admire the fact that PlayStation is so good at getting exclusives out. Yeah. And I wish Microsoft did the same. But I've always been open to PC, keyboard, and mouse, which I'm hoping to get into. It's just super expensive. But
yeah.
Anyways, back to you.
Well, that leads into some deals I found.
Yeah.
I wanted to build a PC. I had one back in like 2018, I think, because when I had last built a PC. So it's been a couple years. And I tried the Xbox, tried the PlayStation. I like those. I like tinkering. I like messing with the hardware, getting it tuned perfectly. And I'm at the point in my life now where I'm like, I want to get back into it. So I looked up, I was like, let's just see if there's any deals going on. And I looked at a computer store in our area that sells PC components. They had a couple of deals going on. They had a bundle of a CPU, 32 gigs of RAM, and a motherboard. It was a Intel i9 12900K processor, which is one of the top Intel processors. It's not the top, but it's a beefy chip.
Yeah.
Normally that costs, we looked it up. We looked up all the numbers before we started recording. The CPU costs $360 normally at the time of recording. That's what they're going for. The RAM is about $90 for this 32 gigs, and the motherboard was $230. So you're looking at like, what is that? 3, 4, 5, like $700 to $800 for these 3 components. They had a bundle, all 3 for $399.
Dude,
$400. It was almost half price, dude. So I'm like, I was gonna maybe get a PC soon. They're expensive, but I don't think I can pass this up. So I drove myself down to this store, and
you know you're gonna build one. So do you build it now, or do you build it in 3 months for full price? You know,
exactly. I might as well jump all the prices low. Yeah. So I saw those. I'm like, well, what about video card? These other components I don't have. I text my younger brother who's way into PC gaming. He's got like an insanely good gaming PC. He goes, look, I'll sell you my old parts, some old components I've got for a good price because I want to upgrade. And I was like, oh, what are these? What's your old stuff? It's a Nvidia RTX 3080 from last year, one of the top video cards ever made, and a NZXT case and a 750 watt power supply. And I was like, oh, this is actually really good stuff.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to upgrade to the 4080, which is the current almost top end. It's like there's a couple of lower end, and there's like the 4090 Ti.
Is that the one that has like 3 sets of fans instead of just the 2 on either end?
It depends on which one you buy.
Okay.
He bought one from Asus, I think. And it's literally like the size of a loaf of bread. I'm not kidding.
His is water cooled too, his PC, right?
Yeah, he's got a water cooler in his
that's
processor.
Cool. That's cool.
Anyways, he wanted to upgrade. He gave me a deal. So all in, I paid about $1,100 for this PC. And we ran the numbers, and if I was to go pay full price for all those, it'd be about $1,700. Is what I ended up paying.
That's what I'm gonna have to pay when I build mine because I don't have brotherly connections. Actually, I do.
We have a
brother-in-law.
You have a brother-in-law.
He's trying to sell me on some stuff, but I don't know what to compare his prices to. So
we'll figure it out. We'll
have to look that up,
and we'll talk about it next time, maybe.
Yeah, he's all into like AMD and not
That's right,
GeForce or whatever.
So I want to talk about that a little bit because he's all AMD.
He all thinks like, oops,
it's all good.
He thinks his whole thing is AMD is cheaper and basically just as good, so it's not worth paying the extra couple $100.
He's mostly right, but I disagree on one thing. Let's just get into this now. I want to talk about Nvidia DLSS, which is deep learning super sampling, I think. Oh man. If I just remember that off the top of my head, then I'm a like hyper nerd status.
Dude. You are.
But
I know you are.
With that.
I know you are.
So the thing is with these new cards have AI upscaling. That's a big feature. AMD has FSR, which is, I forgot what it stands for. Anyways, it's rendering the game at a lower resolution and then upscaling it to 4K or 1440p or 1080p, whatever you're doing. And so you get better frames. It's smoother because it's rendering lower resolution, so there's less pixels to render, and then it just uses AI to make it bigger and make it look good. It's kind of the
Is this AI technology pretty new?
It's fairly new as of the last
I've never heard of it.
Last like couple years.
Oh yeah.
Coming to consumer like video cards, like gaming cards. It started with the I think the 20 series Nvidia cards had it. So it's within the last like 3 years, it's become a thing. So the thing is, the difference between those two is Nvidia has their proprietary DLSS tech, which like the people making the game, they need to develop it as part of their game. It's not something that you can just add on top of it. They have to actually develop their game around this feature usually. So there's not a ton of games that have it. Some of them don't. FSR, which is AMD's version, you can just kind of slap on to any game. Like it doesn't have to be supported by the game itself. You can just use it, but it's not, in my experience, it's not as good a quality as DLSS. I played Starfield on my Nvidia card on a 4K TV at ultra graphics. At native 4K, I was getting like 30 to 40 frames per second, probably about 45 in most places. I turned on DLSS and I was immediately getting 70 to 80 frames per second, and I could see no visual difference, barely a difference in the way it looked. Like maybe stuff in the distance was a tiny bit fuzzy, and if I spun around really fast, it would be like a half second of blur and then it would get sharp again. So it looked almost the same. But I went to like 70 or 80 frames per second and it was butter smooth. And so like, it's like magic. It's like a button you press to just make it smooth. It's like a smooth button and it just works. It's insane. And the new cards, which my brother upgraded to a 4080, has this new version of it, which also does frame generation, where your game's rendering 30 frames per second. In between those, the card is creating new frames out of nothing using AI. So between 2 frames, it figures out like he's moving this way with the camera, and it goes from here to here. Let's go here and insert a frame that we think is what it would look like between those two. And it's not like TVs have had this forever, right?
Yeah.
240 hertz screen. Like you're watching a 60 hertz movie or whatever. Like what's the normal like cinematic frame rate? It's like 24 frames per second.
I think it's, something like that.
That's like what IMAX is. Like what's the standard? But then you're watching on the Samsung TV at 200 hertz and it's like insanely smooth. It's because it's using some of that frame tech, but this is way better than those because I could always tell like some stuttering and like some like glitchiness on TVs that do that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, 24 frames per second.
Okay. Yeah. So it's kind of the same idea as a TV up-resing that or enhancing that to 200 frames a second or 200 hertz. But
did you ever watch Gemini Man?
No, that was like 60 hertz movie. It was
filmed at 60 frames, and that movie was, I don't know.
I kind of want to watch it just to experience like ultra smooth.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It would have been interesting really in the theater too.
Yeah,
that would have been kind of fun. But anyways, so long story short, this frame generating AI tech amounted to a demo my younger brother gave me with his new car where he was playing Cyberpunk. He was getting about 30 frames a second, 40 frames a second. He turned on the AI upres, which I have, and he was getting like 50 frames a second, 60. And then he turned on the frame generating and it shot to like 150.
Dang.
And I couldn't tell, like I was assuming it would be like a little laggy or something like a little fuzzy. I could barely tell.
It was almost like inserting 1 to 2 frames per frame.
I know. I don't know how it does it. It's literal magic.
Yeah.
It's like, I thought that DLSS was cool. This is a whole other level. So that's exciting because, dude, I'm excited for that kind of thing, that kind of tech to come to like phones.
Right.
Phones and handhelds like a Switch or like I love the Steam Deck, but if it had that kind of technology where it could render at 30 frames a second, but then you're playing it at 100.
Yeah.
Like that's going to change.
What do you play it on the Steam Deck? 30?
Starfield was like 24 frames per second.
If you play, let's say, Halo Infinite, what is that at?
I can get 60 on that.
Oh, okay.
So some games work better than others, but if I had this AI tech, it has FSR, but it's not as good. If it was performing like this, like could you imagine if like the Steam Deck 2 or 3 or like the Switch Pro could just have AI double the frame rate? Like I think it's cool. It's really interesting to me to see how that stuff all works together. These new cards and the new tech is really fun for me to watch, and I'm really enjoying having a gaming PC again. It's good to be back, and we'll have maybe some gameplay clips coming up.
Yeah,
and some stuff here.
The Hobbit. Did you watch The Hobbits?
Yeah, those were at 48
frames per second. That's why it looks so weird.
What do you think of that?
There's a reason why it's 24. Because, I don't know, it just looks so floaty when it's so high, you know?
I thought The Hobbit looked like a video game cutscene.
Yeah, they messed with the frame rate and they messed with the color grading.
Yeah,
and that's really what made The Hobbit look so like video game cinematic.
Yeah, seriously. I didn't even think about the color.
Yep.
But it totally is. It's like very saturated, very like
it's like vibrant.
Like like too vibrant. If you go back and watch the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, it's kind of muted. There's specific things that have insane color, like the Eye of Sauron is the most red thing in the entire series.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Like I think they were really smart.
That's why like things stand out in the original trilogy, where like The Hobbit, nothing stands out. Like
because everything stands out.
Yeah, because everything is so like exciting to your eyes that nothing is anymore.
So, you never watched the Amazon series, did you? Rings of Power?
I watched the first episode and then I kind of forgot about it.
Okay. That one was better than The Hobbit because of the color grading. The color grading was pretty good. It was not as good as the originals, but it was better than The Hobbit. The CGI was really good. A lot of the like all the orcs were practically done. There was no CG orcs, so it looked very real. It was a little bit more like I personally. Oh, here's a hot take. I personally enjoyed the Rings of Power more than the Hobbit, especially like the last one, which was just all CG the whole time.
Yeah.
The third Hobbit movie. I just wasn't a huge fan of just watching a video game.
You know, I probably would like it too, but I just haven't gotten into it.
It's just fine.
You know,
it's I'm mostly just looking at like the tech behind it and like how they filmed it.
Story, I'm really, really apprehensive about sequels now, and I've gotten this way. What made me this way? I didn't used to be this way until Marvel happened. Once Endgame finished and they started coming out with all these spin-off projects, what happened was it just diluted everything that came before. So I'm really like scared to watch Rings of Power because I don't want to have a bad taste in my mouth towards the original trilogy.
Got it. That makes total sense.
Because that's what Star Wars did. That's what Marvel has done.
Yeah.
And I love these franchises, but I watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I finished that show, and by the time I watched the last episode, I didn't even want to watch like Iron Man 1 because I was so disgusted with what they had done with the characters.
Yeah.
You know? And the way the whole franchise was like tilting. But
yeah. I didn't even finish Falcon and Winter Soldier. I was just bored. Like
dude, it's so bizarre. It's so bad.
Interesting.
So
sometimes they didn't even like have much of an idea for a show, and they just like.
That's a big problem with newer cinema, is especially with these TV shows built off of franchises, is they don't have anything to say. Take Star Wars, the original trilogy. What was it all about? Father and a son,
right? With
redemption. The prequel trilogy was all about brotherhood between Anakin and Obi-Wan, plus this whole overarching geopolitical, universal, like, thriller. Like, yeah. What's the new trilogy about? Destroying your heroes. I mean, that's basically what it is.
Don't make your heroes.
Yeah. The Mandalorian has a couple good underlying messages about fatherhood and taking people under your wing, you know, that are needing help. Ahsoka, I have no idea what it's trying to say. Andor, it was a good thriller. Boba Fett, I had no idea what it was about. You know, Obi-Wan, no idea what it was about.
So,
other than just these random missions.
What you're saying is that the last couple of years worth of like Marvel, Star Wars, kind of big budget cinema, if you peek behind all the CGI and the like basic story beats and look at what is this piece of art trying to like tell me that's meaningful, that I can leave this experience with and take with me, like how is this going to impact me in some way? It's just kind of all meaningless, like void.
Yeah. Like money, content, views. That's what they're trying to say.
Got it.
There's nothing for me to take away from it other than views.
Maybe they accomplished their goal of getting you to subscribe to Disney Plus for a month to check out Ahsoka.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's definitely, and I don't think that you're the only one who thinks this. Like these like modern shows are just all like just cash grabs.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a cash grab to get your view, to get your subscription. It's all about how many Disney Plus subs can we tell the shareholders we got this month?
Well, dude, if you look at like interviews on the sequel trilogy, all the actors have come out and said like, yeah, we have no idea what we're doing. Like, Force Awakens, who was Rey? She was gonna be. There were talks about her being Obi-Wan's daughter.
Yeah, that's right.
Episode 2 comes out, the sequel trilogy. What is Rey now? She's actually no one.
Right. Yeah.
And
literally no one.
And then episode 3 comes out of the sequel trilogy. Who is Rey? Oh, she's Palpatine's daughter.
That's right, yeah.
After that third movie came out, Rey came out and said, or Daisy Ridley, she said, yeah, we had no idea who I was supposed to be until like we were middle of filming episode 3. Dude, what are you doing? Why are you creating cinema and movies for us when you have no plan?
Yeah, I don't know the philosophy behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so poorly received.
Yep.
Like, it's not like they could just get away with it because it's Star Wars. It was so poorly received. And I feel like if you talk to anyone, if you go out on the street and you say, what do you think of Star Wars Episode 9? They'll be like, either they'll be like, which episode? Like, I forgot about it already. Or they'll be like, yeah, it was hot garbage.
Yep.
Like, at the most raving review, will say it was entertaining for an hour and then I forgot about it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
which is my review. Like,
the
was
graphics were insane.
Yeah, of course.
And that's it.
Of course they were.
So, and then episode 3. So Daisy's a Palpatine now.
That was 9. Wait, episode 9, right?
Episode 9. I'm sorry. Episode 3 of the sequel trilogy.
Got it. Yeah. Okay.
Episode 9. Rey is a Palpatine. And the whole movie, it's about her accepting the fact that she has this dark side tendency because she's a Palpatine. And then at the end of the movie, you're like, oh my gosh, she's finally like overcome this like dread that she's going to turn to the dark side because of who she is. Well, she didn't accept who she is. She tries to be a Skywalker instead. No, she's not. It would have been so much more rewarding if she said, you know what, I am a Palpatine, but I'm going to stay in the light. Dude, that would have been a sick ending.
Well, there's a cool message too. It's like, even if you have like a,
that says something.
We're all human, we all fail, but you can overcome that. And your past doesn't have to be your future. Yep. And who you are doesn't have to be who you were doesn't have to be who you will be. People can change for the better.
Yeah.
Missed opportunities, man.
But yeah, that's a partial Star Wars rant.
Welcome to Star Wars Cast.
That's not the end of my rant, but that rant will continue on into the coming years.
Every like episode or two, you get like a 10-minute Star Wars rant. And then
1 second.
Go take care of your kids, man. Every episode or two, James gives us a 10-minute Star Wars rant, and then maybe in a couple weeks or a couple months, we can put together a compilation of Jimmy's Star Wars rants. Oh man. I want to talk about the new iPhones a little bit while we wait for Jimmy to come back. The iPhone 15 was announced this week, the week of recording here. And I want to talk about the upgrades, which aren't very many. Basically what happened was Apple announced the iPhone 15, and the headlining feature of the iPhone 15 and iPhone 15 Pro was USB-C. We looked it up, almost 10-year-old standard.
Oops.
You're pouring G Fuel into your mug.
Little pick me up here.
Is that G Fuel?
Yeah.
Nice.
End of the week. Dad needs this sometimes.
Take care of those kiddos. So iPhone 15, they announced USB-C. USB-C came out originally in 2014. My first smartphone, which was a Google Nexus 5 smartphone, had USB-C. Every phone I've ever had until my first iPhone had USB-C. And then I got an iPhone 11, which had Lightning, and now I've got an iPhone 13. I really like the phones. I like the way that they work together. I've got a MacBook here. The Apple ecosystem is something that's really nice once you're in it, and it's so hard to leave once you're in it. It's interesting to me that they're changing this and going from Lightning to USB-C now in 2023, when kind of people were assuming they might just remove it entirely and go, there was all these rumors about a portless iPhone where they're just like going to use MagSafe and AirDrop and no like actual cable to plug in. And it's interesting that we're in the middle now, where there's no portless iPhone, even though it kind of feels like that's where they're going to go with a future phone. And we get USB-C in the meantime, and they're touting it as like a headline feature of the new phones. Welcome back.
Thank you.
I'm just ranting about USB-C.
10 years late, usual for Apple.
Exactly. And I'm saying this as a fan, as an iPhone user, and probably will be for as long as I can like imagine. But I can call them out on this stuff. I think Lightning was a good port back in the day.
It was really good, and it made them a lot of money.
Yes.
Because it was exclusive.
Yep.
And they were like renowned for going out super quickly. those cords.
Oh yeah,
Dude.
every single one frayed at the tip.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was a thing.
You'd have to like bend them and then like prop them on a table. Yeah.
And there was like a small selection of third-party options because they had to be certified by Apple. If you plugged in a non-certified lightning cable to your iPhone, it would say slow charging because uncertified hardware.
Interesting.
So Apple needed to certify the cable, and your phone would verify the cable you plugged in has Apple's seal of approval, which, of course, these companies have to pay money for. So they were licensing a cable standard, which is like,
Hey, that's why
okay,
Apple's like the wealthiest company in the world.
I hate it. And it's like top tier business. I respect it and what they were able to do to get so much stinking cash, but it's so scummy to the consumers, you know?
Now, the lightning cable was probably the best cable when it came out. Way better than the micro USB, correct? As far as speed and data transfer.
Micro USB is garbage. Yeah. That was the old one with like the little pins.
Yep.
And it was like one way, it only went in one way. That was what the old Android phones had.
Yep.
Yes, much better than micro USB, but
also USB-C came out 10 years ago. Not 2 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yep. So the Lightning cable was introduced in 2012. So Lightning was 2 years before USB-C became a standard. So they had a window of time where it made sense. They did not want to, they wanted to get rid of their 30 pin. Remember the big, the wide iPhone connector?
Yep.
They wanted to move away from that one, but they didn't have a USB standard that made sense, which at the time was true. And at the time, the Lightning was small form factor, reversible, and it was convenient for that reason.
Yep. I'm sure the USB-C took notes about the Lightning cable as far as like reversibility and stuff.
Totally. It's like the same thing, just shy of the patents, you know?
Yep.
Like Lightning was a single piece of metal with contacts on the top and bottom that went into the port. And USB-C was like that like oval shaped thing with the pins on the inside that went into the port with a little fin that had the connectors. So it was like kind of like the inverse of Lightning, just to squeeze past those patents is my guess.
Yeah. Yep.
But then 2014 comes and goes and everything switches to USB-C. And I said while you were taking care of your kids that my first smartphone, my old Google Nexus before Pixel was a thing, the Nexus 5.
Dude, that thing was sick.
It was a great phone.
Yeah.
Had USB-C. And that was I think that was like 2015.
Really?
Yeah. So anyways, that year comes and goes and iPhone is still on Lightning. Here we are, 2023. And just now, yesterday, 2 days ago, I think, when was the announcement? iPhone finally switches to USB-C.
Didn't the EU kind of force Apple's hands into switching? Because they said you are not allowed to sell your iPhone here unless you switch to USB-C. USB-C.
Yep. That was what the rumor was. I don't think it's actually in force, but they're working on some kind of a law. I don't know all the details about this, where you're required to use USB-C on a smartphone. Like they wanted a standard for all phones, so that Apple couldn't be a monopoly in the smartphone charging cable department. And anyways, I'm glad that this is a good thing, but it's funny to see Apple spin this into a feature. And literally, I watched the announcement. There's some camera upgrades. There's a slight change to like the chassis. It's like titanium and all this stuff. And it looks cool, but it's barely any different. And their main, like the big feature is USB-C.
Yep.
Like, so their announcement was like, I just knew watching it the whole time, like, this is because you're being forced by world governments or you'll closed out of the entire geographical regions for selling your phone.
Yeah.
And they're like, ooh, coming now from Apple, upgrade because a new feature.
Dude, and people
required
are going
by law.
People are going to. I'm sure you feel the pull to switch over. Because your laptop.
It'll be nice to all be on one cable.
Yep.
It'll be nice to be on one thing, but I hardly ever even use lightning cable. I almost always use wireless charging.
Really?
And if I'm going to transfer something to my laptop, then I'll just use AirDrop.
Do you just charge it at night? Just put it on the little pad and go to sleep?
Yep. So
Nice.
I barely plug in the lightning cable. Maybe in the car is the only place I use it.
Yeah.
So to me, it doesn't matter too much, but I'm glad it's switching so all the stuff uses the same connector.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So anyways, iPhone 15 is interesting. Besides that, there's some cool, actually the camera upgrades look pretty cool. There's a 10x optical zoom, so which is really nice. And a 48 megapixel sensor. And a couple other small tweaks, but really not a lot.
Yeah.
Like not a huge
But
reason to upgrade.
Apple has never done that. They've never had these big jumps and improvements with their tech.
Very iterative.
It's yeah. Yep. I'm sure, dude, they have tech created and implemented for the next 20 years, but they're just going to drip feed it to us.
Absolutely. They know
Yep.
exactly what they're doing.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see how things change because I feel like people are getting tired of them doing the tiniest upgrades possible.
Yeah.
And the base iPhone 15, because there's the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus, then there's the Pro and Pro Max. So there's like the two sizes of the two categories of iPhone 15. The iPhone 15 has the same chip as the iPhone 14 Pro. So in the announcement, they go iPhone 15 using the whatever it was, A15 it might not be A15, but A15 or A16 Bionic chip, which proved its worth in last year's iPhone 14 Pro. So they're like telling people, like basically saying like it's the same, buy it. Like,
Yeah.
it's the same chip.
Yeah.
Like, so they're doing.
Does Snapdragon come out with a new chip every year? Or is that like every two?
I don't know the upgrade for.
What are they at? Like the 865 or something?
I don't know the current gen Snapdragon.
And now Google has created their own chip as well, the Tensor chip. And the latest Pixel, I think they've come out with the Tensor 2 already.
Wow.
So I believe
Pretty
mine as the Tensor, the original.
First gen Tensor.
I think this is the first year they put it in.
Yeah.
The
It
8
seems like good
will be
tech.
coming out this year. 7 came out last year. And I think the 7 had the Tensor 2,
It seems like.
if I'm not mistaken.
Gotcha. I don't know a ton about Tensor, but it seems like good tech. Like,
Yeah. I think what people are hyped about is that it's like completely synced with Google software. Not that like
Sure.
the specs on the hardware of the Tensor chip itself
Mhm.
is incredible, but the fact that like it's paired incredibly well with Google software.
Right.
And that's kind of been the whole deal with Pixels is like, you know what? Their hardware isn't like top of the line,
Yep.
but it's from Google and their software updates will keep their outdated hardware like just as good or even better than like the latest hardware,
Right.
especially with their cameras. I mean, they're running like a 12 megapixel camera for like
Oh yeah.
6 years and they
Yep.
just kept updating the software and the pictures were great.
Mhm.
But
It's true. I like that about the Pixel. That was always my biggest gripe with Android was the new update would come out and I'd be waiting for like years for my Samsung to update. And that's one thing that you can hate Apple all day long, but you cannot knock them for their software support.
Yeah.
Like, the iOS 17 is coming out and I think it supports like the iPhone 7 is the minimum.
I was gonna say, how long do they support their phones? Is it 5 years, 7 years?
Okay, so iOS 17 is dropping support for iPhone 8 and X.
Was that 5 years?
So I don't know exactly what year that is. So yeah, going back to the 11. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so 5 years, but 5 years worth of phones.
Yeah.
And that's been consistent. Like, and also so it's longer support for years worth of like 5-year-old phone gets the latest update, but that 5-year-old phone gets the latest update the exact same day as everyone else.
Yeah.
There's a specific day. It's like, I don't remember exactly when iOS 17 is set to release, but in September or whenever the iPhone 15 comes out, which is in a couple weeks or a week. So like next week, there'll be a day when my phone just says iOS 17, and so will my wife's, and so will the iPad, and so will like the Mac will get an update too, and everyone else's 5-year range of iPhones at the same day, at the same time, we're going to get a notification saying upgrade now to the latest software and get a bunch of free upgrades, like free features, better battery life, all this stuff.
Yeah.
No waiting around, no being held back because you have an AT&T phone and you need to get AT&T's Samsung One UI, like. So, anyways, I like some things. The iPhone 15 overall, pretty underwhelming, but it's just interesting to see how they spin these things, dude. USB-C is the big feature, and the iPhone 15, the base model, the USB-C port is USB 2.0 speeds. So it's like slow.
Really?
It's no faster for like transferring files than a lightning cable from 2012.
Ugh. So they're giving us the base option.
Yep.
And they're going to drip feed it.
Yep. The Pro has 10 gigabit, whatever. One of the latest 10 USB it's nice and fast. So next year the base iPhone 16 is going to have that fast USB, but then the Pro is going to have some enhanced, anyways. So they've got these two tiers. So they have two drip feeds.
Yeah.
The people who get the Pro phone every year and the people who don't. And
it's tough when you like love a product, yet they're just scumbags. Like I love you guys, but you're just the worst.
And all the stuff we've talked about this
you're
episode.
Screwing me over.
And that's my life, dude. We've talked about Nvidia, which is a scumbag company.
Yeah.
Nvidia sucks.
Yeah.
Go look them up. They're just not. I am not a fan of the way they run their business. They're kind of like Apple. They're just
suicide nets on the outside of their buildings in China.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that, but I know that they are kind of anti-consumer. Like the 3080 card I have was $700 when it came out, it was a decent price. That's like kind of like the average for a middle top end card. Now they knew they could sell these to like Bitcoin miners and like AI server farms, and so the 4080, which is just the next gen version of the same card, it's like the list price is like $1,200. Like they're like 2 to 3 times more expensive list price for the equivalent next gen product.
Dude, at that rate, you're gonna be building a PC for like $4,000.
They know they can sell it,
dude,
and they're just like price gouging it because they know people will buy it.
Yeah,
and the worst part about it is people are buying it.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's talk about our irreplaceable items. We have items in our lives that we would replace immediately if they broke or we lost them, and we like to make that a segment.
I think our segment was first named. What do we first call it?
I don't remember.
Things we can't live without.
Yep.
And then it morphed into if it break, we'd replace it immediately.
Yeah.
And I think the best way to say it is show and tell.
Yeah.
I think show and tell is what we're going to name it.
Welcome to Double Dad's Show and Tell.
So,
what do you got?
What I got here is my wedding ring.
Nice.
This is not my wedding ring, the original, the OG. This is just a tungsten thing.
That's your daily driver.
After my real wedding ring was damaged when I was weightlifting. So this thing, tungsten, it's like $30. This is actually white gold. It's like 500 some bucks.
Wow.
My wife had it. She designed it and they made it at the jeweler shop. It's really, really cool. It's got like fletching along the whole band, and then it's got like these 2 grooves that go and run along it. But
awesome.
I was weightlifting, and if you see here, it like bent the ring and like separated the fletching from like the rest of the band.
Oh no.
I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's bent a little bit there. So I just keep this in my box here. I don't wear it unless I'm, going somewhere nice. But this whole last weekend, I wore it at the wedding.
Yeah.
And it reminded me to put this on the show. So that's my little show and tell. Love this thing. It's my baby. We've been talking, I might get this remilled.
Sure.
Because
get it fixed.
Well, just get a second one because I'll keep this, but I don't really want to wear it.
Yeah.
I'll just get a second one, exact same white gold. It'll just be nice and brand new, not bent,
Sounds good.
not worn. So that's my show and tell for the day.
Sounds good. My show and tell is not quite as interesting. I'm just gonna piggyback off your idea.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. My wedding band here, which this is the only one I have. I don't have like a daily one and then like a fancy one for formal outings. This is the one that my wife got for me. I don't remember the material it's made out of, but I think it was around $500 was what it cost. So it's not like, it's something that I wanted that. I wanted something I don't have to worry about. Like, I want to be able to wear this every day without being so concerned about getting it scratched or broken.
Yeah.
And I really like, it's just brushed, kind of a dark gray metal with a smooth chamfered edge. And I really like it. It's super simple.
Tungsten's
really
a really
comfy.
cool metal. It's super heavy.
Yeah. Yep, I think it's tungsten, I believe.
Yeah. The pros of like getting tungsten over titanium is titanium is incredibly hard. So if your finger gets like broken, sprained, and gets swollen, like it's really hard to get that ring off.
You need the jaws of life to get you out of that ring.
This thing, it's incredibly hard. You can scratch it, but you can't cut it.
Okay.
You might be able to cut it, but it's so hard that you can just smash it and it'll come off your finger,
Okay.
So it's way better than titanium, just for safety reasons, is you can actually get it off your finger if you have to.
Okay, I see.
But it has a really nice weight to it. Just feels nice in your hand. I remember, I feel like maybe this has been around for longer than I have realized, but the comfort fit inside rings, where it's just beveled on the inside.
Yep.
Dude, it's so nice. I remember like rings that used to not have this, and it was like
square
this
edge
blade that you'd like jam in your finger.
Oh, it's like a knife edge.
Yeah.
Oh, no thanks.
Comfort fits where it's at.
Yep, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
I just forget I'm wearing it now. Just like it's so much a part of my.
I bet you comfort
body.
fit is like standard now.
It's gotta be.
It has to be, man.
No, that's awesome. I like seeing stuff like that.
Dude, how's the week been with the kid?
Yeah, a little kid update. Good. He's been just eating and pooping, and that's like he's been eating a lot.
That's what you want, though.
He's getting big. I know. He's healthy. He's happy and healthy.
He is getting big.
Yeah, you held him today. You're like, oh man.
Yeah.
And he's not like rolls and rolls of like fat. He's not just like a blob. He's phone calls.
Yeah.
He's like dense and strong. Like his legs are like thick, like muscular.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
He's a thick boy.
He's kind of a specimen.
Yes.
So proud of him.
Yeah.
He's getting bigger. We're approaching the crawling phase. He's starting to like lift up his head and look around.
Dude, that's so much fun.
And I don't have any like particular stories, like funny things he did.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling I'm gonna have a lot, and as we approach like 6 months old and getting older, because he's gonna start to crawl. He's gonna start to walk. He's gonna say his first word.
Dude, when he like starts like talking and communicating and emoting, dude, it's so funny and it's just so much fun.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Dude, this last week I've just been hit with the realization that like my kids are getting old.
Yeah.
Like they're 4 and 3, but they're learning how to do things like us adults do. I was down in the basement, and all of a sudden I hear beep boop beep boop beep boop boop upstairs, and I look at Sarah. I'm like, is Ethan using the microwave? And she's like, oh yeah, he knows how to do that. I'm like, since when? He's freaking 4.
That's awesome,
dude. Like I talked to my wife. I'm like, you didn't even know how to use a microwave till you're 20. But
never happened.
Dude, it's crazy. Like watching your kids learn how to do adult things, and
that's a whole new phase.
Yeah, it's real weird. It's like, man.
Intelligence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's good. Good for him. Picking that up. Oh yeah, man. So you got a couple years ahead of me. Like you can tell me what to expect, and I'm not gonna laugh at your stories.
Yeah. They say one of the best pieces of advice I can give is you have 4 years to raise your child and give him good habits and teach him how to like communicate and respond properly to adults. You have 4 years before like habits become like part of the child's brain and like personality, just like Yeah. So those first 4 years are critical to how you want your child to behave for the rest of his life.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Those 4 years set the stage for his teens, 20s,
Yep.
30s.
Yep.
Interesting. Good to know.
So
Good to know. The early stages. Yeah.
early stages.
And because that's when their brain is forming.
Mm-hmm.
Like their brain is literally forming before your eyes.
Yep.
And your patterns are being created. And our job as parents is to make sure those are good ones, no matter how tired we get.
Yep.
No matter what's going on in our lives, the kids can't be affected by that. They just need to be able to grow and be healthy and be nurtured. And so that's been like, that hits you hard when you have a kid.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, like I need to lay aside all of my own desires. And then, you know, like my life is now his life.
Yep.
This kid is now, and like, it's easy because we love him.
Yep.
And like, he's all that matters now. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's very rewarding, even if it's a lot of hard work. Even if you have to down a G Fuel at the end of the week just to get through.
Yes. Or two.
Yeah.
Or two. And a Red Bull.
That might
With
be.
a cup of coffee on the side.
I might need to rush you to the hospital here soon.
No, parenting and fatherhood can make you very angry, but it's one of the greatest joys in life. And
I think it's the best thing you can do with your life.
Yep. So,
well, thanks for tuning into Double Dads. I think we can wrap it up there. That's our main topics.
How long is our recording?
We've been going for 52 minutes.
Ooh, nice.
Time flies.
Good time.
Thanks for tuning into Double Dads. Catch us on the socials. I'm going to do my plug.
Yeah, what do we got?
Like, comment, subscribe. Ring that bell.
What are we on? Twitter, X, Instagram, TikTok?
I'm getting there.
Oh, my bad.
Find us on the socials, Twitter/X at Double Dad Cast. We're also on Threads, Double Dad's channel. Instagram, Double Dad's channel. TikTok, Double Dad's channel. Some of our shorts are popping off over on TikTok.
Dude.
Of course, YouTube. We're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. And
subscribe, like, share, comment. Really help us out. We're trying to grow our channel here and get it big. So
drop a comment if you'd like us to tackle a topic someday. A cool game you're into, something like that. Let us know. We'll talk about it. A couple dads chilling around the table, the round table.
Hit the comments. We'll read your comments on the air and
please comment on
we'll make fun of you.
Oh, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week. Double Dads.
Signing out.
There we go.
That's it.
Second most epic outro of all time.
Yes.
Oh man.
And now,
what clickbait?
Let's play some Call of Duty.
Yeah. Sounds good. What clickbait title should I use this time? Starfield hates the iPhone.
Yeah. Apple not supporting Starfield.
Exactly. Starfield gets USB-C.
Yes.